Welcome back, boxing fans, to another great show with Sean on boxing and Lily. So, we got some interesting topics to talk about this weekend. Nothing boxing related as far as fights we're getting this weekend. We do have quite a few fights happening this weekend, but nothing that's going to grab casual boxing fans' attention. Hardcore fans may be a little more interested, but overall, the only reason I'm focusing on it is because of my fantasy boxing league, right? Outside of that, who's fighting this weekend? Let me just quickly go through it. On Friday or Thursday, Jan Paul Rivera versus Daniel Bailey on DAZN. Yolinis Gomez, right? A guy that people were once pretty excited about, obviously lost in his last fight, is bouncing back against Edwin Humane Jr., who, not a bad record. 8-1-7, 9-1-7. Should be a good matchup. Corey Marksman, 11-0-1 versus Luis Martinez. And then on Saturday, Jake Wiley versus Yoes Dib. Sky Nicholson versus some Singh girl. Jack Rafferty, undefeated UK fighter versus Mark Chamberlain. Should be a good little scrap. Zach Miller versus Leon Woodstock. Jack Turner versus Nicholas Magurza. Murat Gassiev versus Jeremy Milton. Could be a pretty good fight. Obviously, it's disappointing the way Gassiev's career has went. This was a guy that at one time, with his relationship with the Golovkin, and then obviously his big matchup versus Usyk, was really on top of the world. And then he moved to heavyweight, and basically some injuries and shit, and has just become kind of an unremembered sort of boxer, even though obviously he was one of the best cruiserweights in the world. And people were very excited to see what he was going to do in the heavyweight division. Yankel Rivera versus Angelino Cordova. Yonis Telez, good up-and-coming young Cuban fighter, versus Absit Barro, a tough German kid, 16-1 versus 10-0. That, my friends, could very well be the best fight this weekend. That looks good. And then Jermaine Ortiz is getting back in the ring. He's fighting a guy I've never heard of. I won't even try to pronounce his first name, but Batista, 19-2. Lucas Baddy, of course, my great Canadian fighter, 19-0 with 15 KOs versus Roger Gutierrez. Great matchup. That, my friends, is a solid matchup. This DAZN card with these last three fights, Celez, Ortiz, and Baddy, that's not bad. That's probably the thing we should pay attention to this weekend. And Stephanie Hahn is going to be fighting some girl on this card. And then Jasmine Ortega is fighting some other girl on this card as well. But overall, not the most exciting fight, but the Saturday DAZN card potentially could be a good surprise for hardcore boxing fans. But welcome everyone for jumping in. Garden Snake Mentality is back in the house, bacon and eggs. Good day, mate. I was just thinking, why doesn't Sean go live? Ta-da! You think it, you got it. Boxing Focus, what's up, Sean? Why are you calling my boy Jesus Ramos a duck? I didn't call him a duck. I just inquired, do people consider it a duck? The fact that he's walking away from one of the best divisions in boxing, 154, where obviously the money is, to go to 160 to fight Shane Mosley Jr. for a WBA regular fucking title, which in his best hope would mean potentially he's going to get an Erislandy Lara WBA fight on some bullshit PBC card. You tell me. Does that sound like a good maneuver? Maybe I'm wrong, but it seems like a stupid career choice from him. Garden Snake says, I got to be honest, looking a lot of the cards from here till Bud Canelo card, I'm lost. Yeah, I was just looking today, and there's 3 cards this year, and we'll be talking about those today, that really are the cards worth talking about. Outside of that, maybe some cards will surprise people. Like I just said, this card on Saturday from DAZN. Not a lot of big names, but some recognized names. Kylie, let's go. Garden Snake says Dillian White was on a 3-fight win streak, beating Jermaine Franklin. So where do grade the win for Moses overall? I got to say it's fucking an A+, right? This is a 20-year-old kid taking on a top fighter in the heavyweight division. Sure, we can say that this isn't the best version of Dillian White, but nobody knows that until the fight happens. Nobody expected Atoma to walk through him in fucking one round the way he did, destroying him. Right now, in hindsight, we can say, "Oh, fucking Dillian White was washed," but most people weren't saying that leading up to the fight. This is the problem with these people that have 20/20 hindsight, right? They always got fucking everything down after the fact, but prior to that, you didn't hear them talking all this bullshit. I heard a report White was hurt. Yeah, well, fucking boxers are always hurt. I just think he's too big for the weight. Could be, yeah, boxing focus. I agree. That could be the possibility as well, right? And he's just not being as active as he needs to be to make the weight. He is a big boy. I agree, Sean. Hats off. So many people are downplaying the win. Garden Tech mentality, 100%. You know, this is the problem with boxing fans. They're so quick to shit on fighters. And let's ask ourselves, really, this kid's 20 fucking years old. We'll get into this because that was going to be obviously one of the talking points of today's live. But, you know, people got to temper their expectations. I mean, this kid is younger than Tank Davis was when he became a world champion at 130 pounds. And then people didn't want him to fight Lomachenko because that was too much of a step up, even though he was a world champion. But people want fucking Atoma to fight Usyk next. I mean, put that in perspective. Sean, I'm uncomfortable with making Moses skip the line to fight Usyk. I don't know why anybody would do that. It doesn't make any sense at all. Moses said post-fight, and what he says is totally 100% accurate. Obviously, the big Turkish kid, Kabayal, and fucking Parker deserve that fight next, right? And they do. That's the fight. One of those two fighters should get the Usyk fight next. I mean, it just makes 100% more sense. And for Moses, there's no rush. There's no rush. Salute in the building. Who is the new king? Sean Newton? Who? Turkey is the one who wants the Usyk fight. He's the daddy of boxing game right now. That may be true, but the promoter and the fighter themselves, they just need to be more grounded than obviously the young American who fucking jumped at a Bacoli payday to fucking take a loss and basically make him irrelevant, right? We saw how well that worked out. I mean, that was a terrible fucking maneuver. Didn't make sense at all and didn't really pay out. You get a little bit of money up front, but then you lose a lot of money on the back end. So it was pretty much a fucking career-destroying maneuver. What do you think, Moses versus Andy Ruiz? Get the UK Mexican dollars. Well, I got no problem with the Andy Ruiz fight, but this guy is coming off of a loss or a very poor performance versus big fucking daddy. He's not been that active. I mean, I think there's more relevant names at this point that you could put Atoma in with. But don't get me wrong, I would like to see him in with fucking everybody. So, I mean, whoever he's going to be in with, I think is going to be great. That's the one I just sort of took as being a natural. Moses versus Hrgović, right? Because obviously they were on the same card together. So why wouldn't you do that? He was talking about Franklin, but that would be a great opponent as well. You know, the reality is when you fight a guy like Hrgović, you kind of forcing yourself to have to chase after a world title fight next, right? Because he's already going to be mandatory in 2 sanctioning bodies, which is crazy. This tells you everything you need to know about these sanctioning bodies. Payola. Because how do you become a number 1 fucking ranked opponent in one of the rankings when you haven't even beat a top 10 fucking opponent? Dillian White wasn't a top 10 opponent. So how are you fucking number 1, right? But this is the problem with these sanctioning bodies. They fuck the shit up because of their greed. Turkey is a fan with a lot of money who don't care about boxing structure and tradition. That's fine, but you don't always get what you want, right? I mean, Moses don't need to fight in Saudi Arabia right now. He can continue to fight in the UK on very good cards, big cards, make really good money, and doesn't necessarily need to jump into that big Saudi Arabia mega fight at this point of his career. And it's not like Turki Al-Sheikh ain't going to jump at him fucking a year or 2 down the line when the guy's the biggest fucking star in heavyweight boxing. Of course he's going to work with him. He's going to jump at the chance. So, why wasn't it Moses versus Hrgovic, Adelaide versus White? Well, now we're just being fucking, you know, looking for reasons to moan and groan. The reality of the situation was Hrgovic is coming off of a fucking loss versus Daniel Dubois. So it's not like he's really at a point in his career where he's really above Dillian White right now, right? They're both in a situation where they're at a crossroads. So you could pick one, you could pick the other. The one is younger, a little bit younger than the other one, but it's more is the same, right? It's not that big of a difference. Moses is number one in the WBO and number two in the WBA. Yeah, fucking ask yourself how that happens. And I'm a Moses fan, but these fucking sanctioning bodies are the fucking cancer to the sport of fucking boxing. That's why when you get the IBF stripping a champion to jam some German dude nobody's ever watched into that position, you're just wanting boxing to fail because the fight's not going to sell. I mean, you look at Murtazaliev right now. Let's just break this down and put it in perfect situation, right? If Turkey wants to help boxing, then fucking Turkey should have did something with this. Murtazaliev was going to fight his number one mandatory, Erickson Lubin, right? Lubin getting a world title opportunity. But no promoters want to sell it because Lubin is not marketable and fucking Murtazaliev is not marketable. Two PBC fucking refugees that were fucking moved terribly by the PBC, right? And now it's a potential great fight, but no one really gives a fuck about it because neither guy's a big name. Murtazaliev is too dangerous, but not a big enough star. So he doesn't sell big fights. So it's going to purse bid. What does fucking Lubin do? Lubin pulls out of a world title purse bid to sign an agreement to fight Virgil Ortiz. All because Virgil Ortiz is basically, I guess, ducking an opportunity to fight for a world title against fucking the Puerto Rican kid. So Lubin and Virgil both could have got world fucking title fights. But they walk away from world title fights to give us a fight nobody gives a shit about. Virgil Ortiz versus Erickson fucking Lubin. Who fucking cares? It's not a fucking great fight. It's not a pay-per-view fight. I mean, it's a good fight in a packed division. That's what it is. Yeah, you could have had tons of fights just as good, better than this. But this is the problem with boxing and these fucking retarded sanctioning bodies, right? Garden Snake Mentality says, I think we could have measured Moses' skills versus Hrgovic. Well, no. He would have just beat the fuck out of the slow-handed Frankenstein monster, Hrgovic, who gets hit too much, right? And probably stopped him inside 8 rounds. Maybe Hrgovic would have been more resilient, but the end result would be him getting stopped nonetheless. Curious about how did you score Ball versus Goodman? Let me be honest. I always tell you guys with these UK cards, it's fucking Saturday night my time. So I did not even watch that card live. I watched the Hiro Tsutsumi fight the next day. And of course, I watched Thomas fight the next day. As far as the Ball Goodman fight and the other fight, Ford versus the other kid, I saw the end of that fight. I didn't watch the Ball fight yet because I heard Ball was mediocre. Goodman did a good job. Most people feel Ball did enough to win, but people weren't very impressed. And now, of course, he's doing what he always does, calling Inoue out today, as if somehow he's high on fucking Inoue's list of fighters to fight. MJ and then Junto Nakatani. That's who I'm fighting next. Backroom PBC. Backroom's career was with the PBC. This was a guy who took step-aside money because the PBC was trying to jam Charlo into that undisputed fucking situation. So even though he lost twice, they continue to fucking duck his mandatory, Backroom or Zaliev, to fucking do rematches with fucking, what's his face, the dude from Detroit, and then, of course, the kid from Argentina, just so they could say, look, Charlo is undisputed. And it only took 6 times for him to fucking accomplish it. Congratulations, he's the best. Yeah, okay. I thought the scores were way too wide for Ball. I had it 8-4. Ball fight was boring to me. MJ gonna ruin the Nakatani plans? Yeah, sure he is. Sure he is. Sure he is. Oh, Sophie Cunningham is hurt. I'm watching her podcast right now. She does have a lovely smile, but fucking no tits at all. But great legs. But apparently she fucked her knee up, so she's out for the season. Goodman boxed well. I thought Inui is probably looking at Ball as food. Of course he is. That's probably the third fight on a huge Turki Al Sheikh Saudi Arabian card, right? To move up to become a 5-weight world champion versus this fucking kid, right? Which has big name recognition, obviously in the UK. The fight will be very big. Out of every champion at 126 pounds, Nick Ball is the biggest fighter at that weight class for Inui. Nobody else is bigger or draws more money to the fight than Nick Ball does. But come on, he's the perfect pick. Shorter than Inui, shorter arms than Inui, right? Inui's not going to be giving up a huge amount of things to fight one of the other three guys who obviously beat one of them, and the other two are much longer and taller than him. Sophie is hot when she walks into arena, super hot. Legs for days. Oh, yeah. Ray Ford is super talented, but he doesn't have a championship drive to be great. Yeah, well, he does enough to win, right? But not much more. I did see the end of his fight against what's-his-face. And obviously, it wasn't a great performance from him either. I heard, who's that fucking Mexican dude that does YouTube podcasts for boxing scene or something? He was in his feelings because Hayato Tsutsumi was on the pay-per-view part, but Raymond Ford was on the free part. And he was in his feelings because how could you put a former world champion in the free part, but put a prospect into the other one? Well, because they're trying to build up the prospect by putting him on the pay-per-view part, and they still want people to watch the other part, so they put Raymond Ford on that part because he's not a fucking big draw in the UK and in Saudi Arabia. Who fucking knows Raymond Ford? This fight card didn't happen in America. It happened literally in Saudi Arabia. Raymond Ford is no bigger in Saudi Arabia than Tsutsumi is. Not Robert Garcia. It's a media guy who always comes out with bad takes. He's the guy that just recently came out and said Andre Ward would easily beat AJ. So that tells you everything you need to know about his boxing takes. He's a boxing pundit or media member, but this is the problem with dudes in the media on boxing. They come out with the worst fucking takes ever just because they know it's controversial and it's going to get them a lot of attention, even if it's complete fucking bullshit. Espinoza is a terrible matchup for Inui if he decides to move to 126, especially since he's only getting older now. I mean, I don't think Inui chasing after Espinoza would be a smart move. Espinoza is fucking gigantic, right? Like, that guy's going to grow out of the division, move to 130. So you don't even need to focus on him. And people say, oh, you're ducking him. What do you mean ducking him? Like, people are just looking for reasons for certain fighters to get beat so they can say, exposed, right? That's all they want, because there's so many fucking haters in this YouTube boxing community that mostly just come out hating like fucking crazy. That's what they do. Every day they come out, they fucking hate, clickbait, and put out crazy fucking narratives that no one fucking believes in because it's bullshit. But these are the kind of channels that get a lot of attention because they're so fucking ridiculous, right? How else could you describe them? Ridiculous. But let's jump into this bullshit and talk about it. So we did talk about Moses, and obviously the question is, who's Moses going to fight next? This, by Ring Magazine, obviously this is pushed by Turki Al Sheikh. I can honestly tell you there's probably a 0% chance that Moses Atoma is going to fight Kabial, Usyk, or fucking Parker next. Because in reality, those three fighters are chasing each other, as they should. I would love to see Kabial, Parker fight Usyk. Those guys deserve it. It's a great matchup. I think Kabial could beat Usyk because of his vicious body work, right? Like, I mean, that guy is destructive. And it'll be a really interesting fight to see how Usyk would be able to deal with a guy like Kabial. As far as Parker, versatile, right? I don't think Parker is as good as Kabial. I think Kabial is the best out of the two. But I definitely think Parker deserves an opportunity to become a two-time heavyweight champion. And if he was able to beat Usyk, what a fucking career win that would be. And then you could throw him in with a Usyk rematch, or you could throw him in with Kabial. That shit would be dynamite. Those are great fights. Sure, a lot of the casual boxing public might not be so focused on these fighters because they don't really know who Kabial is because they're stupid and fucking ignorant. And Parker, they probably don't really rate him that much because he's not like a super exciting type of fighter, even though he's one of the younger top heavyweights in sport. He was a former world champion. I mean, many people feel he got not robbed against AJ, but that the scorecards were really unfair in the AJ fight, right? And he's really come back and proven himself and earned his opportunity. So those are the fights I hope happen next. Jay says, I'm glad Turkey isn't interested in the Parker fight. Would rather see the Kabial fight stylistically. Parker fight would be a stinker no matter who wins. I don't think it's going to be a stinker. I mean, Usyk is Usyk, right? So Parker is going to have to do what he has to do to beat Usyk. I just don't think he's good enough to beat Usyk, but I definitely think it's not going to be a stinker. It's not going to be like Parker versus fucking Wilder because Wilder was afraid to fucking throw a punch. I'd like to see Moses versus Efe Ajagba. That would be a good fight. An elusive target because Moses hasn't been past 6 rounds. Well, at this point, right, there's the world of heavyweights out there for Moses, right? That's why I think people that get so caught up in this, the problem with them is I really think they're just looking for someone to beat Moses Otoma. They don't really want him to be this next great UK superstar. They don't want him to transcend the sport of boxing and elevate it, like sort of like Caitlin Clark has done in the WNBA, right? It's kind of the same mentality. People don't want him to be the savior of the sport. But for me, I'm the opposite. He could be the savior of the sport. That's great. I mean, that's what boxing needs. You know, this era's version of Mike Tyson. And if that could be Moses, a more grounded, fucking chilled out version with more longevity in his career, fucking sign me up. That's exactly what boxing fucking needs. And I can't imagine why anybody would be opposed to it, right? But people are, because as we said earlier, people are just fucking haters. Haters, man. Parker deserves Usyk and the winner for Kabial versus Otoma. Why are you putting Kabial Otoma? Otoma doesn't need a fucking fight at that level yet. Let's fucking slow our roll, man. The kid's 20. He don't need to fight fucking Kabial next. He don't need that fight. And why would Kabial do it if he's in line to fight the winner of Parker and Usyk? Why would he take on a dangerous kid like Otoma? Moses doesn't move his head much, relies on his feet to evade punches. Jay, you're just fucking echoing what fucking people said the day after the fucking Dillian White fight. He did not need to move his head against fucking Dillian White. He's not need to move his head versus anyone because his feet have done the job. You can't echo haters' fucking opinions. See, that's the problem with you, Jay. You just echo fucking these stupid fucking narratives all over YouTube from stupid fucking YouTubers. And you just echo that shit. Like somehow what those guys saying is legitimate. It's not legitimate. It's a fucking poor excuse for an opinion. That's all it is. Poor excuse for an opinion. The kid hasn't been in with anyone where he needed to fucking show head movement because no one's been fucking hitting him. So how much head movement do you need if you're not getting fucking hit? I wonder how he's going to hold up in later rounds when the feet start slowing down. Again, that's always going to be a question with everybody, what their endurance is going to be like, right? The one good thing you can say about Moses, unlike, say, a fighter like AJ, is he's not muscle bound, right? He's a strong kid, but, you know, you could see he's got some fat on those muscles. It's not like he's chiseled and fucking drained down where obviously he's going to his muscles are going to really tire quicker, right? He's got more of like a Mexican fighter's type of frame, which means he's going to be able to throw punches probably for 12 rounds at a high pace without necessarily pulling a Anthony Yard type of situation or a Anthony Joshua situation. I'd like to see Moses figure it out, although I love knockouts. I want to see Moses preserve. Boxing fans are carnivores. Usyk already. Exactly. They're just looking for reasons to hate on the kid and fucking shit on him to say, yeah, he ain't that fucking good. A lot of channels are saying Moses uses rabbit punches to stop White. People will literally fucking say anything. You know, like rabbit punches get landed all the time. When you throw a hook and a guy moves forward, you're going to be hitting the guy behind the head. That shit happens every fucking fight. I mean, nobody was worse for that than fucking Deontay Wilder. That dude lived off of that shit. Lived off of it. I'm not saying Atoma deserves Usyk or he is ready for him. But if he doesn't deserve him or he's not ready for him, why are you asking for that fight now? Right? There's a lot of fucking really good potential opponents we could throw him in with. A lot. Fucking a shitload. Like, I mean, you go through the heavyweight rankings, there's literally a fucking shitload of opponents that would be fun fights for a 20-year-old up-and-coming potential superstar. A lot, right? I mean, we scroll down these lists, we can get right out of the top 10, even though I don't know how Murat Gassiev is somehow in the top 10. BoxRec. I mean, has Gassiev even been fighting? But okay, so Gassiev's top 10. But you look at guys like Hrgovic, who's at number 10, would be a quality fight. They were just sharing a card together. Michael Hunter, Ajagba, Bokoli might even be step too much. You look at Richard Rappaport, who I talked about in another fight. That'd be a great fight. UK fight. UK fans would be all over that shit. You look at a guy like Justice Huni. Obviously, Justice Huni just lost a recent fight to my man Fabio Wardley, but people feel like he was fucked over in that fight. I would love to see fucking Moses fight Fabio Wardley. For me, that fight way more interesting than trying to jam these big name fighters in with him. But you know, people don't understand the necessity of that fight. That fight's kind of like an AJ versus a Dillian White when AJ had his first real big fight in boxing and he faced Dillian White, got fucking staggered, came back, knocked him out with a great fucking left, right? That's what Wardley versus Atoma could be, right? You know, the future, taking on this fucking backstreet fucking hard puncher who's not the most technically gifted fighter. I would love the Fabio Wardley fight. But even that fight, I think he can take on someone first before a Wardley fight, before a world title fight, which would probably 3 or 4 fights down the road. You got a guy like Joe Joyce, right? Which would be a great fight. That fight would market huge in the UK. Then you got guys like fucking scrolling down the list. That would be quality. Guido Valinelli. People literally, and we'll talk about that, tried to praise Guido Valinelli over Dillian White as an opponent. You got Stephen Shaw. You got guys like fucking Fraser Clark. You got guys like David Adeleye, who just got beat today, but fought great in that fight. Went the distance with Hrgovic, right? So there's a shitload of fighters you could throw him in with. He's cooked. Easy work. Well, you say he's cooked, but he's still a fucking behemoth, right? Who beat Daniel Dubois, right? Just because he got knocked out twice by a left-handed Chinese fighter, completely different styles, different size. There's a lot of differences in the fight. I can understand that you think, like White, it's a fight that he will win, and the kid's 20 fucking years old. He can get some big name fights he should win against dangerous hard punchers with experience, right? Like, think about all these young up and coming fighters in boxing today. You know, think about the guy that Moses has talked about a lot in comparison to the two best fighters, up and coming prospects. The U.S. fighter, obviously, what's his face? The 135-pound fighter. Why can't I think of his name? fucking, what's his name? 135 pounder. Big family, great fighter. He's going to be getting the WBO title in his next fight. Like that guy had Abdullah Mason. Yes, thank you. Abdullah Mason, who the fuck is he fought? No one's trying to put Abdullah Mason in with fucking Tank Davis next, or even Shakur Stevenson, right? When there was talk from Keyshawn Davis about Abdullah Mason, people are like, calm down. Calm down. Fucking Davis, man. Why are you calling out this young kid already? Like, there's other fighters you could take on besides Abdullah Mason, who's just like a 20-year-old kid, right? He's getting his WBO chance because Keyshawn fucked up, right? And he's probably going to win because he's fighting some UK fighter. But no one's expecting Abdullah Mason to fucking fight, the baddest man on the planet fucking in his next fight. But Atoma, that's what they want, right? People are mental. I think fans believe Usyk is going to retire, so they want Moses to get that shot before. And if he retires and doesn't fight Moses, who gives a fuck? Moses' career is not fucking going to be based on Usyk. And Usyk's career is not based on Moses. He already fucking did what he had to do, right? So, these guys are on different ends of their fucking career trajectory. It's not a necessity that has to be done. Joyce, a big man. Big man. Joyce is a 2-round job for Toma. Horrible style matchup for the Juggernaut. Well, seeing is believing, right? So he should fight him a few years later when Usyk is old to beat him. But I agree. I'm telling you, bro, Moses not ready for Usyk. Yeah, that's like a stupid maneuver to try to jam that kid into a position like that. Think about Mike Tyson. When Mike Tyson became the heavyweight champion, undisputed in the heavyweight division, and even fought the lineal champion in Spinks. Which one of those guys he fought was fucking anywhere close to fucking Usyk? Nobody he fought was fucking close to Usyk. Spinks? Not as fucking good as Usyk. Fucking Berbick? Old fucking shot fighter at that point of his career. I can't even remember the other champions he fought to win world titles. Who did he fight? Who knows? He didn't fight any killer, any fucking pound for pound fighter, any historically great heavyweight. He fought 4 dudes to win 4 belts or 3 belts, and then fought Spinks, a light heavyweight, to solidify himself as the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world, right? And then he went on to struggle with big heavyweights who held him and wouldn't fucking let him hit him. And they just smothered him and did all that. 38-year-old Larry Holmes, does he beat Moses? Come on. Come on. 38-year-old Larry Holmes does not beat Moses Atoma because 38-year-old Larry Holmes is not fucking Alexander Usyk. At 38, Larry Holmes is not what fucking Alexander Usyk is right now. He lost to Spinks, a light heavyweight. You think Usyk would lose to fucking Bivol or Better Biev if they jumped up to heavyweight to take on Usyk? No fucking way. No fucking chance. No way one of those light heavyweights is going to beat fucking Alexander Usyk at this point of their career. No fucking chance. But, this was the funny thing I saw. I saw Ring IQ talking about this. And this is typical of fucking Ness. Ness is American-centric. He's always been that way. He said if a fight doesn't show on American TV, he ain't interested. He ain't going to watch it. And this is the problem with many boxing fans from America. Ignorant, right? Fucking American-centric. They think fucking nothing happens outside of America. Like, think about that mentality. Like, really? Like, America's great, has great athletes. Yeah, great boxers. But the fucking world is a great place with a great fucking selection of athletes to pick from. Why would you ignore, you know, I don't even know what the percentage would be. 78% of the world population. I think that's even too low. I don't think the American population is close to 25% of the world population. But like, why would you ignore that much of 75% of the world's population to focus on 25% and act like somehow you're getting the best when literally you're missing 3/4 of the potential out there, right? And this doesn't mean to downplay and shit on America, but like, why wouldn't you be open for everything, especially as a sports fan? Ness doesn't like Moses at all. And why wouldn't you like Moses? Moses is a down-to-earth kid. He doesn't fucking talk a load of shit. He does his speaking in the ring. He's very mature for his age, right? Like, he's everything these young Americans aren't. Cocky, social media fucking happy finger, Twitter fucking happy, clout chasing fucking underachievers. That's not Moses. He ain't fucking calling out Usyk and fucking burning up the fucking social media era trying to get the fight, which he would if he was an American, because they'd be all over it, knowing they weren't going to get him, but they would do it nonetheless because they're trying to build their name up off of fucking someone else's progress, someone else's success. Moses doesn't need to do that. He knows that if he keeps doing what he's going to do, he's going to take over UK boxing and be the next great fucking world heavyweight, following in the footsteps of Dubois, AJ, Fury, and then Moses Utoma, right? And chances are he's going to have a much longer career dominating the sports world as well than any of them did. Ness don't know boxing. He's just a big platform. Well, that's it. I always said Ness is a fucking casual. Whenever you used to listen to him back in the day, casual. And he used to be the biggest PBC dick rider out there. At least he switched from that and shows a little bit more boxing intelligence now as far as the politics of the sport. But still, and some of the people like that Canadian kid that he had on his channel, what a fucking douchebag that kid is, man. Makes me hate Canada that we're producing fucking shits like him. That's not an issue. There are plenty of boxing fans in the UK who only watch British fighters and UK cards. Sure, but they don't have huge boxing platforms that act as if they're fucking pushing the sport of boxing globally, like Ness does. Ness has a global YouTube boxing fucking channel. So if you're ignorant about boxing outside of America, who fucking is going to listen to you? Because obviously you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Every time I tune in, he says Jared Anderson deserves Moses' fight. Jared Anderson got knocked the fuck out, destroyed by Martin Bakole. Does anyone think Martin Bakole would beat Moses Utoma with his slow fucking feet? I don't think so. When Ness asks AI live on his show, is Buster Douglas a Hall of Famer? I unsubscribed. Buster Douglas, a fucking Hall of Famer, because he beat Mike Tyson. That's the one win on his resume. That's like saying, is George Kambosos a fucking Hall of Famer? If Moses was from America, oh man, he is Mike Tyson reincarnated. And you know it. You know fucking how crazy guys like him would be fucking dick riding Moses if he was an American. The LDBC would fucking have their new superstar fighter to follow, right? I mean, they know Devin Haney ain't going to fucking carry them fucking forward financially, but they would love to jump on Moses if they could, but they can't because he ain't American. It literally goes against everything they have to say. Is that the guy's name, Ryan Frazier? What a fucking tool that kid is. Fucking racist fucking tool. Every time he opened his mouth, I just wanted to punch him in the fucking face. FDA ain't international. Foundation, what's FDA? Prime George Kambosos was something special. Listen to you. We know why you say that, because you're a fucking Devin Haney dick rider. Like, you're literally fucking hiding out in the fucking clouds, just waiting for a chance to jump in and say something stupid. Foundational Black American. Yeah, that's what you mean. FBA, not FDA. FDA is like drug fucking association. Well, that's the thing, right? They can't push a guy who's not a foundational Black American because that's what they're fucking. Where did this fucking word, this new term come from anyway? Like, black people are almost as bad as fucking American black people, almost as bad as transgendered fucking the alphabet mafia people. There's always a new fucking label that they want to be identified as, right? Consistently. Oh, you can't call me black. You can't call me colored. You can't call me the N word. You can't call me fucking Black American. It's always something new. Foundational Black American. You know why they say that? Because they want to separate themselves from immigrants from Africa who immigrated to America and are now American. We're not the same as them. Yeah, because they're not fucking racist like you are. They fucking don't come to America fucking hating the country. They come to the country because they love it and they know there's opportunities. You guys fucking grew up there and fucking despise the country, have nothing good to say about the country, consistently fucking hate on the country, and fucking call everyone racist. Yet the people doing all the problems to your community are you. Are you. Black on black crime. That's the biggest fucking issue to Black Americans. Biggest problem with Black Americans. And then you coin yourself foundational Black American. So am I foundational white American? Can I say that? Or would that be racist? I'm sure it'd be racist. I'm not American, but if I was. Sean, did you see the Bud versus Canelo undercard? I did. We're going to talk about that as well. And that's not the undercard. That's the prelim. The prelim. FBA is just a term insecure racist American blacks created. That's all it is. Like, it's just another fucking term to try to fucking be individuals. If you want to be something, just be a fucking American. You know, in Canada, I have the same issue with fucking all kinds of other immigrants as well. French Canadians. Fuck you. You're Canadian. Why do you need to be French Canadian? Do I call myself English Canadian? No, I'm fucking Canadian. But we need to be different from you because we are Quebecois. Why? Because you're fucking idiots? Or Italian Canadians. You're fucking Canadian. You're not Italian. You're born in the same hospital as me. You're as Canadian as I am. You could say, sure, your family's culture is Italian. Just like Mexican Americans' culture is Mexican. Yeah, I got no problem with you fucking keeping your culture, keeping your family, keeping your religion. That's cool. But why we need to fucking separate yourselves from being fucking recognized as the rest of Canada? You are Canadian. I am fucking Canadian. I don't need to identify myself as English Canadian or English speaking Canadian or white Canadian. I'm fucking Canadian. That's it. If you don't see me and you can't see fucking my face, my religion, or my ethnicity, I'm Canadian. That's all. Never seen anybody stand toe-to-toe and bang with a takeover like Prime Cambosis did. So you got to give him respect. Oh, my God. Dude, get Haney's fucking cock out of your fucking ass. Ramos is soft. I agree with your video with an overhype. I think 154 is. That's where names are at. David, I thought you loved Jesus Ramos. Dude, don't jump off the train now. Don't jump off the train now. The train's just getting to the station. Stay on board. He's going to become a middleweight champion. They want to make all flags more important than national flag because national flag is racist. Yeah, once again, if the national flag is racist, you should just get the fuck out of America. I saw the UK recently. All these guys are going around taking down Palestinian flags, putting up the UK flags, as they should. Palestinian flag does not represent fucking the UK. The UK flag represents the UK. If you don't like it, get the fuck out. Go fucking back to Palestine. Like, these people are mental. John always tells me to support American fighters while he refers to Black American fighters as foundational Black fighters. Well, that's what John refers to when he says American fighters, Black fighters. He don't care about Mexican Americans, Asian Americans, white Americans. When he says America, what he's telling you is you should love Black American fighters, all Black American fighters, because they're American like you. But yet he wants to fucking not identify as an American like you. He wants to be different, separate, unique, Special needs, yes. We already saw the fucking bumper sticker on his car, so that's okay. I don't anymore. Ramos validates what I've been saying all along about 154. But let's move through forward. Dun dun dun. Ness. Like when I heard Ness hating on Atoma, I'm not surprised. And we'll get to some of the things Ness said, because the irony is Ness was talking up Guido Valinelli's win for fucking Pornstash. You're going to act like Pornstash right now is a better heavyweight than Atoma, or that Baby is a better fucking heavyweight fighter than Atoma. Like, I mean, Pornstash is a small midget fighter with a short reach who is never going to be a world champion. And the funny thing is, foundational Black Americans wouldn't support him even if he did become a champion. They would fucking hate on him and say the only reason he's getting attention in America is because he's white, right? So, you know, hey, I thought Oladipo was coming to the Pacers. Wonder why we haven't heard anything since. I don't know. This is kind of the dead zone of NBA, right? Prior to like the season really opening, so nobody really knows what's going on or paying too much attention. But let's look at these records right now, because not that this means anything, but let's put this in perspective, right? This is what Ness didn't say when he said his stupid bullshit. So Moses Atoma, 13-0 with 11 KOs, is 20 years old, right? 20 years old. Jared Big Baby Anderson, 18-1 with 15 KOs and 1 knockout loss to Martin Bakole, is 25 years old, if I can remember off the top of my head. So he's 5 years older than Moses Atoma. Where do you think Moses Atoma is going to be in 5 years? I mean, in 5 years, you won't even be able to compare Jared's record of 18-1 to Moses Atoma. It's going to be fucking night and day. Moses is going to be a heavyweight champion. At 25, Jared Anderson just got knocked the fuck out when he stepped up and took on a top 10 or maybe top 15 heavyweight. As far as Richard Torres Jr., 13-0 with 11 KOs, the exact same resume, number of wins and losses and knockouts to Moses Atoma. This kid's 26 fucking years old. 26. And where is he on any rankings? Let's look. And I said the rankings are bullshit, so this isn't for me to use this to hate on anyone. I'm just putting in perspective what the boxing world is saying. So let's look at what the boxing world is saying in comparison, because we know fucking boxing stuff is bullshit, but it is what it is. He is better than Torres, I believe, though. I'm still not sold on Atoma. David, you always have bad takes, so it's no surprise. The thing is, how do we know how good Atoma's chin is? How do you know how good fucking anybody's chin is? Like, once again, that's the stupidest fucking narrative ever. In heavyweight division, if you get fucking hit by a real heavyweight clean on the chin, you're getting knocked out. It's happened to everyone. That's what happens in heavyweight boxing. It's fucking dangerous. Don't get hit. Good morning, Sean. What's up, Jose? Salutes from New Jersey. Keep up the good work. Thanks, brother. You too. So let's look at these rankings from the IBF. So IBF rankings right now. And this is legitimate IBF rankings. Derek Chisora is the #1 ranked fighter from the IBF. Efe Ajagba, Frank Sanchez, AJ, Moses Atoma is number 6. Michael Hunter. Richard Torres Jr. is number 8. Daniel Dubois is 9. Jared Anderson is 10. Martin Bakole is 11. Martin Bakole, who beat Anderson, is behind Anderson. And then, of course, Hrgovic is 12. And Jalilov, who's also like 26, 27 years old, another top up-and-coming young heavyweight, is number 13. For WBA, some of the worst rankings ever, Fabio Wardley, the regular champion, Usyk, or interim, Pulev is regular, Usyk is champion. Michael Hunter is number 1. Apparently, Hunter is going to fight Pulev, which would be a good fight. Atoma is 2. Pero is number 3, the PBC heavyweight from Cuba. Who's that guy fought? Bokoli, Hrgovic, Gerald Miller, Nelson Haisa. I saw that guy's name before, but who the fuck is he? Nobody's ever seen him fight before. Dave Allen is number 8. Dave fucking Allen is number 8. Based on beating who? Who did Dave Allen just beat? Like, he beat somebody, but it's like, I was not surprised Dave Allen beat him because he's literally fighting a nobody. But Dave Allen is number 8 on the IBF rankings. What does that tell you about everything? Right? Like, fucking Jesus Christ, man. David, that was a casual take. Heavyweight is the wrong division to test your chin. Totally wrong division. South Jersey, boxing focus, especially when you got punches like Bomb Squad in the weight class. Who? Bum Squad? That dude's fighting nobody. They're talking about him facing David Allen. And Dave Allen would knock fucking Bum Squad out. That's the fucking sad truth of that fucking narrative. Then you got the WBC, Okolie. I think Atoma fucking destroys Okolie. That dude is garbage. Dubois, Joshua, Ajagba, Bokoli, Hrgovic, Sanchez, Jalalov, Jang, Torres. Atoma is number 11 below him. And Deontay Wilder, number 12, versus Derek Chisora. That would be a good fight. Let's have Derek Chisora and Wilder fight. That's a fight that should happen, but never did because they never wanted to put fucking Wilder in with a legitimate opponent. News break. Usyk gives his take on Atoma. I got to read the story. British fans don't even like Okolie. He's boring as fuck. And of course, from the WBO, Atoma is number 1. Parker, of course, is interim. Usyk is champion. Hrgovic is number 2. That's why I think if you have Hrgovic-Atoma fight, it's great. The winner becomes the mandatory for the winner of Parker and Usyk. And of course, it's not going to happen right away because if Parker and Usyk fight, they just solidified, right, that belt. Then you got Jang, Okolie, Dubois, Anderson, Joshua, Chisora, Adelaide, Sai, Jalalov, Ajabagababa, Efi Ajagba, and Ricardo, Richard Torres Jr. there. Like, man, like somehow acting as if Atoma is ranked below these 25 and 26-year-old fucking heavyweights. It's crazy to me that nobody's asking fucking Richard Torres Jr. to fight Usyk. Nobody. You never hear fucking one pundit, one casual fucking YouTube boxing channel, or fucking anybody legitimate talking about how Richard Torres Jr. should be fighting Usyk next. You might hear fanboys like silly ass talking about Wilder deserving an opportunity to fight Usyk, but you're never going to hear anyone talking about Torres getting that fight. No one. If somebody should fight Andy Ruiz, it should be Torres. There you are, Mexican on Mexican. Big fight in California. Put it on. Do it. Do it. And then, of course, Jared Anderson. Like, right now, that dude could fight pure bums. Look at his last opponent. Bum. Because the dude literally just got knocked out when he faced a top-level opponent. And he looked shit against that bum opponent. That dude got 1 foot in the ring, 1 foot out the door. And I don't say that because I hate on Jared Anderson. I like him. I'm disappointed that mentally he's just checked out of the sport. Rather get arrested by the cops fucking all the time, do stupid shit, not really be focused, talk about retiring already. Like, this was a kid I thought could really be the next great American heavyweight, right? Way more so than Torres. He's got everything. The physicality, the length, the speed, the size, fought from being a really young kid. So, you would think technically he would be really advanced for a heavyweight. But, typical fucking American. These young American fucking athletes, fucking entitled. Entitled. Usyk said Atoma is very good. When you read the later part of the story, it sounds like Parker is next with maybe Kabayel after. That's what Usyk should do. Like, for Usyk's career to end perfectly, he should fight Parker and then Kabayel. And literally, there's nobody you can say he didn't fight that was a legitimate top heavyweight when he was the champion. Nobody. He fought them all. I mean, now Chisora is right back as a mandatory. So he fought Chisora, fought fucking AJ, Fury, Dubois, right? Then you go on and you fight Parker, and then you fight Kabiya. That's only 6 heavyweights, but literally those are 6 of the top 10 heavyweights in the division. The only one who you didn't fight was what? Wilder, because he was shot to bits. And then I don't know who else. Dillian White, because he was shot to bits as well. But yeah. Jared Anderson got the skills and charisma, but he's missing something. Yeah, mental. Mental is the biggest part of being a great athlete. And that kid is a mental fucking midget. Maybe he's just stupid, right? People can be great athletes, but just stupid. And no matter how great of an athlete you are, if you're just stupid, you're never going to be great. Jared Anderson doesn't crack good. That's the main problem. Well, it's not that he can't crack. It's just that he's afraid to sit down on his shots because he's afraid to get touched, right? And because he fucking has his hands down, he's been getting touched way more than he fucking should have because he didn't fucking adjust and improve his defense. It's a shame because, you know, the kid looked as if he had everything, all the check marks, right? But that's the way shit goes. Sometimes things don't work out the way you hope they will. But let's speak of the biggest fight of 2025. I know some people are in their feelings about this, but it's true. Just because you don't like it, don't make it not true. Canelo versus Bud Crawford, biggest fight of the year. And David Benavidez fanboys might act as if somehow that's a fight that's more relevant. No, be real. How is fucking Benavidez Canelo more relevant than Bud Crawford versus Canelo? Impossible. We're talking about here 2 pound for pound top 10 fighters, 2 guaranteed Hall of Famers, 2 fighters that are in the conversation for maybe top 25 fighters of all time, right? You may disagree, but that's a legitimate conversation. And this is a huge fight. And right now, if you look at pundits, boxers, trainers, and people in the industry, somebody was saying like 60% of them are picking Bud Crawford to beat Canelo Alvarez. So that tells you what a fucking dangerous fight this really is. And I've been saying that from day one. And if you want to hear my breakdown, I'm going to be posting that on later today. It's the second part of my 2 video series. One talking about how Canelo Alvarez can beat Bud. The other one talking about how Bud can beat Canelo. So make sure you tune in. Give me a thumbs up, share, and like. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. But yes, I just did that video. I just need to finish it up and upload it later on today. But yeah, look forward to that. I'm saying a lot of the things I said from day one. I know I'm a racist and a hater, but literally from the first time this fight was talked about, I talked about how Bud has everything he needs to beat Canelo Alvarez. Does that mean he's going to beat him? No. But he's got everything he needs. So it's a matter of, can he make it work for him? And that's why we watch the fights, right? To see if you can make it work for you. Usyk is not only great in the ring, he's also great because he fights all the best fighters possible, even 2 times if needed. Well, that's it. Usyk, Lomachenko, these guys, they just want to fight the best fighters in boxing. It comes from their long pedigree of amateur dominance, where they literally wanted to fight all the best amateur fighters. And they did. If you're going for the world championship or the Olympics or the Euro championships, you're fighting all the best fighters in your division consistently. And that was the challenge they were always chasing. So you come into heavyweight boxing, and many fighters get swept up in the fucking politics, primarily Americans, and probably now UK fighters. But these Europeans, not so much. Not so much. They still have that strong fucking competitiveness coming from their long amateur pedigree. And Usyk is just that. He just wants to prove he's the best. If you can beat him, beat him. Vegas got the odds very close. How is a welterweight dangerous for a super middleweight? See, once again, a silly ass, dumbass like you isn't even being honest. Bud Crawford's last fight was at 154. That's a division where Canelo Alvarez spent most of his career, right? At 154. He spent a little bit of time at 160, and now he's been at 168 for quite a while. But it's not as if Canelo Alvarez is a behemoth. He is probably the smallest fucking 168-pound champion in the history of that division. Bud Crawford is the same height as him, has a 4-inch reach advantage over him. So, faster feet, faster hands. Like, if those aren't advantages that you can capitalize on, then what did you learn from fucking Floyd Mayweather, who is a welterweight, who already beat fucking Canelo Alvarez? Obviously, you didn't fucking learn very much. But, you know, it's people like you that are so afraid that Bud Crawford's going to lose, and you don't want to give Canelo any credit. So already you're getting in front of it so that you can not give Canelo credit for beating Bud Crawford. Yet you were all about giving fucking Errol Spence credit when he beat Mikey Garcia. Weren't you, silly ass? You know you were. You're out there dick riding Errol Spence like crazy, talking about how he was this and he was that. And when he beat Mikey Garcia, who went up 2 weight divisions, you fucking were gung-ho because you're a hoe. Crawford ain't no TBE. There you go. Right from the mouth of Errol Spence, fucking PBC fanboys. TBE. I think Bud Crawford beats fucking Floyd Mayweather. He got a 2-inch reach advantage over Floyd. He's naturally taller than Floyd, much stronger than Floyd. Switch hitter, man. I think Bud Crawford beats the shit out of Floyd Mayweather. Most of the so-called experts are picking Crawford because they are Americans, except for Mexican Americans. Well, that's why you should ask UK pundits, right? Obviously, they got a more of a neutral perspective. Sean, were you a Sven Oki guy? No. Boring as fuck, that guy. Couldn't crack an egg. Madimoff is, I read, he said Bud hits harder than Virgil. Yeah, of course he does. That's why fucking Madrimov was scared to fucking go toe-to-toe with Bud Crawford. He wasn't scared to go toe-to-toe with Virgil. That's why the fight was completely fucking different, right? Like, people want to hate on Crawford because the fight wasn't more fucking action-packed. But the reason the fight wasn't action-packed is because Madrimov was afraid to fucking get in range. What about Zolt Erde? I know the name, but I'm not so familiar with him. Floyd would duck Prime Crawford. That's why we will never know exactly. He would have ducked Hearns. He would have ducked Leonard. He would have ducked fucking Duran. I mean, just like he spent 8 years ducking Pacquiao until after Pacquiao got beat by Bradley and then fucking knocked out by fucking Marquez. Marquez, who he beat. So he's like, well, fuck, if Marquez could knock him out, I guess now's the time. Now I should fucking capitalize and fight him because I've been ducking his ass for 8 fucking years. And what did I do? I retired from boxing to duck fucking Cotto, Shane Mosley, Paul Williams, Margarito. Literally, I ducked all those dudes in their physical prime. I fucking retired for 2 years and just allowed those guys to fucking beat each other up. Then I came back. Floyd never would have went up 2 weight classes to fight a Hagler or Canelo. Never. That's why he pulled Canelo down in weight. And I'm not trying to hate on Floyd, but Floyd was a fucking created fighter. Obviously, he's a great fighter, very skilled. But the way he moved his career, very fucking well picked, well thought out. Picking flat-footed fucking Latin fighters every fucking fight. Because stylistically, that style worked for him. A counterpuncher with a reach advantage. Sean, what's next for Lamont Roach? God fucking knows. Tank Davis looks like he's ducking him. Another fucking silly ass Chenko fighter. That Marquez win aged great for Floyd. Really? So cherry picking a fucking lightweight and pulling up 2 weight divisions aged great? No, it made fucking Floyd look like a fucking complete hypocrite because he said he would never fucking fight somebody that gave up all their advantages. And then he fought Marquez coming up 2 weight divisions, agreed to a catch weight, and then basically said, fuck ya. And then he fucking fought Canelo and pulled him down in weight. Another Tank Davis move. There's so many things not to like about Floyd Mayweather. He's a douchebag. He's not likable. His style was boring. Fucking, there's not much things you can say about Floyd Mayweather that make him a fucking likable character. His dad was a fucking douche, right? Like, so even his family, you could see why he grew up being a fucking complete asshole because he learned it from his dad, right? So who's so shocked and surprised? This is why no one wants to go to fucking Detroit. Shithole. Any good fights next? There's no big fights this weekend, but we did say that the one card on DAZN looks a pretty good fight card. Not with big name guys, but just overall a pretty solid fight card with Lucas Badai fighting Roger Gutierrez, ex-champ, WBA champion, solid fight. Jermaine Ortiz is fighting some kid who's 19-2, solid fight. And Tellez, the Cuban fighter, 10-7, 10 wins, 7 knockouts, is fighting Abis Barro, the German fighter who should have been a world champion but got robbed versus the short Turkish kid. 16-1, 9 KOs. That fight should be really good, right? So overall, that fight card is not too bad. Could surprise, a lot of people in those fights and the outcomes. Of course, I expect the main guys to win, but the question is, how are they going to win? But let's skip through and talk about this fight. So people were talking about the undercard. This is the prelims. So this is the free, the whole fight card is free. It's going to be on, obviously, Netflix. But this part of the fight card is going to be on YouTube. And it's all free, right? You're not paying for any of this card. If you have Netflix, you're getting it. You don't have to pay extra money. Marco Verdi, the silver medal Olympian from Mexico, who is supposed to be the next great Mexican, is going to be on this card. Always great to see young up-and-comers. Steve Nelson, a Bud Crawford fighter, getting another opportunity. Ryota Tatsumi, the Japanese. Lomachenko is fighting Javier fucking Martinez. That's a great fucking fight. Javier Martinez is literally a fucking contender. And Ryota Tatsumi's only had 2 professional fights. In his 3rd fight, he's taking on a legitimate, unbeaten contender. I think Martinez is unbeaten. I could be wrong. Then you got Ivan Ditchko versus Jermaine Franklin Jr. Heavyweight clash. Should be great. Sergey Bolchuk versus Brandon Adams will be great. Both those fighters are dogs. That fight is going to be a fucking great matchup. Like, you look at this card, Verdi, Tatsumi, Ditko, and Boholchuk. 4 out of the 5 fight cards here, I'm super excited about. Nelson versus the Santana guy from Cuba. I don't know who that kid is. It could be a really good fight. I'm not sure. I've never heard of Santana, but he's Cuban, so chances are he's probably pretty good. And we saw Steve Nelson fought pretty well against Pacheco. So, it'll be interesting to see how he does in this fight, right? Obviously, it should be a fun fight to watch. So that shit's solid. And now we look at the main part of the fight here. And I can't understand how people somehow are dismissing and downplaying this fight card. So you got Canelo and Bud Crawford, the biggest fight of 2025. Callum Walsh versus Fernando Vargas Jr. Callum Walsh, the only reason people don't know him is because he's fighting on fucking UFC cards, right? He's a boxer from Ireland, looks really good. If he was fighting on Top Rank, he'd be way fucking more well known than he is now. But because he's sort of hidden on the UFC, most boxing fans don't really follow him or know much about him. Fernando Vargas Jr., one of fucking Fernando Vargas's kids. We know they're getting tons of hype right now. And then, of course, Christian Mbili versus Lester Martinez. Martinez works with Bud Crawford's team, so he's getting an opportunity fighting Mbili, who literally, the winner of this fight, I can almost guarantee you, is going to be Canelo Alvarez's next fight if Canelo beats Bud Crawford, right? If Canelo beats Crawford, look forward to him facing the winner of Christian Mbili versus Lester Martinez next year, early fucking next year for Cinco de Mayo or whatever that first Mexican holiday is. And I would love to see a fucking Christian Mbili Canelo Alvarez fight. That shit, dynamite. Stylistically, that fight can't fucking fail to fucking impress. right? So this card overall, I can't understand how some people are somehow hating on this card. It's free on Netflix. You got 1, 2, 3, 4 fights here, and then 6 fights on the other part that are going to be on YouTube, right? So everybody can watch it anywhere, everywhere. Man, you can't make this shit up. A lot of fans are just PBC dick riders that just fucking hate everything. Hate everything. If Floyd gets no credit for beating Marquez, how does Canelo get credit for Bud? Well, the difference is Canelo Alvarez is not agreeing to fight Bud Crawford at a catch weight only in the last fucking minute during weigh-in to say, fuck you, I ain't fucking going to make that weight. I'm going to come in overweight and then fight you. That's what Floyd did. Canelo is fighting Bud Crawford at an agreed weight. They agreed to fight at 168. That's the fight card weight that they're going to fight at. He didn't agree to fight him at 162 and then on the fucking scale come in at 168 and say, fuck you, here's an extra 200,000. I'm coming in big. I don't give a fuck that you came up 2 weight divisions. That's right. And you know, you can dick ride Floyd all you want. I mean, that's your prerogative, but doesn't mean I have to like him. No. I haven't liked Floyd from fucking day one. From when he first fucking was an amateur, I didn't like him. And nothing's changed since then. I still don't like him. Is that because I'm a racist or because Floyd's a douche? I think it's because Floyd's a douche, but okay. We can agree to disagree. Canelo will make weight. Exactly. Shawarma, you know, if this was hosted by PBC, you'd call this undercard mockery to boxing. Are you talking about me? No, because if this was a PBC fight card, they would be charging you $85 for it, right? And that's a clear fucking difference. You're not paying $85 for this Timmy T. This is free on Netflix. And then the first half is free on YouTube. So what's the point? Like, I would never complain about free YouTube part, even if it was PBC. And I've praised PBC cards. See, but you're obviously a PBC dick rider, so you ignore those fucking videos just to hark upon the ones that you can fucking get outraged over, because that's usually what guys like you are there for. You know, you're like fucking talking about how the PBC is dominating boxing. How many fight cards they do this year? 5? Last year they did 5? Man, domination. And every fucking fight card was PBC. I'm supposed to be excited about Pacquiao fighting fucking Mario Barros for a WBA title or WBC title? Really? I'm supposed to be excited about Tim Tszyu fighting Funduro. I'm supposed to be excited about Funduro fighting fucking Keith Thurman? Okay. I'm supposed to be excited by that. Man, you expose yourself, because if you're fucking talking about like that shit's legitimate, that says everything you need to know about you. I don't dick ride fucking Jake Paul fight cards either. And he's not part of the PBC, and he ain't black. Crawford's the best American fighter of his generation. That's a fact. Yeah, because Haney needed to be humbled. But Ryan gets credit for missing weight and cheating Ryan. Well, silly ass. He doesn't get any credit because he was on roids and the fucking fight card isn't a win. So he didn't get a win. It's a fucking no contest. When he won the fight, after Devin Haney said he was going to knock him out and talk such shit, and Ryan Garcia was fucking retarded and fucking obviously on drugs and mental, yeah, it was a pretty bad look for Devin Haney to struggle with that guy. A pretty bad fucking look. I'm not sold on him, Billy. You don't have to be sold on him, but stylistically, him and Canelo, how does that fight not fucking guaranteed excitement? The undercard is good for such a big event. Eubanks beat Ben again. I could see Eubanks getting Canelo. Oh, fuck no. Nobody wants to see fucking Eubanks or Ben. Fuck those two guys. I hope Turkey forces Canelo versus David. Forces? Why? David's at 175. Why does Canelo need to fight him? Floyd got credit for Marquez. Can't be mad at free. All the money is in the main event. That's true. He called you shawarma. Yeah, I know. I guess I'm Middle Eastern. One time, yeah, of course you're down with that, right? Because that exposes you too. See, PBC dudes, they don't pay for shit, but they're fucking outraged by everything. You know, fucking this dude comes in and talks shit, but then he runs away when he has to fucking address Pacquiao versus Barrios, fucking Funduro versus Tim Tszyu, Funduro versus Keith Thurman. And we're lucky we didn't get fucking Funduro versus Errol Spence, because that's really what they wanted to jam down our throats, and then charge you 80 fucking to $85 on every single one of those garbage fucking fights. And I'm a Pacquiao fan, but fucking come on. Pacquiao didn't deserve a world title fight. Nobody wanted to fight. We wanted to see fucking Barrios fight for unification. Take on Boots. Get your ass beat. Smoking on the Haney pack. These dudes are mental. But let's skip through. So, who is the most entertaining boxer to watch? Well, it's got to be fucking Inoue. And Inoue is fighting coming up soon. This fight card from Nagano, Japan. This card overall is pretty good. Obviously, it's a huge Japanese-based fight card. But you got Inoue versus MJ, which is probably the second or third best opponent on Inoue's resume. When Inoue knocks him out, people aren't going to give him credit because that's the way these haters are. They don't want to give anyone fucking any credit at all. You smoking on the pack? Yeah, that's thanks to Turki Al-Sheikh. I hope you say thank you, Turki Al-Sheikh. And fucking all these fighters crossing over to take a knee, right? David Benavidez literally fucking bent over backwards to take it. Take it, right? Haney sucks. He's getting smoked. We can talk about that. That's going to be the next fight we talk about coming forward. But overall, this Inoue fight card is not bad. You got Take versus Jimenez. Obviously, Take is defending his WBO title. Then you got Takada, an up-and-coming young fighter, versus Matsumoto. Should be a solid matchup as well. Then, of course, these other fights here. The only fighter I'm familiar with is Tokishi Shimomaki, and I'm sure I butchered his name, fighting the Korean kid. But, you know, these Japanese cards are always exciting. The kids always come to fight. As you can tell, 2 weekends ago, 2 fighters ended up dying. You know, rest in peace, right? You know, these kids, they come to fight, and that was a result of it, unfortunately for them. Then, of course, we have this huge Riyadh season card. I mean, just think about how you hate on Turki Al-Sheikh and Saudi Arabia when they give you cards like this. Like, there's nothing to really hate about a card like this. Like, if you're not excited by this card, I don't know what kind of boxing fan you are. And a lot of the criticism with previous Saudi Arabian cards were the fact that they weren't really enough Americans on the card. So the Americans were really bent out of shape because most of the fighters were from the UK or elsewhere, right? Not specifically America. But this card is primarily American-centric. You know, on all 4 of the big cards, you have 4 great American fighters. And this is a huge platform for them. I'm super excited. David Benavidez versus Anthony Yarde. I would say that this is the best fighter David Benavidez has been in his career. I think Yarde is dangerous. In the first 8 rounds, don't be surprised to see David Benavidez get fucking stopped. If the fight goes past 8 rounds, don't be surprised to see fucking Anthony Yarde get stopped, right? That's pretty much how you would bet on it if you were gambling. That's pretty much the way it would unfold. Then you get Jesse Bam Rodriguez, a pound-for-pound top 5 or top 6 fighters in boxing, fighting Puma Martinez, coming off of 2 career best performances by beating Ioka, right? 2 great performances, beating a future Hall of Famer in Ioka, who was a 4-weight world champion. Puma Rodriguez now getting in there to face Bam Rodriguez. And I know it says WBA, WBC title, but there's more to it than that. He just won the WBO title too, didn't he, Jesse Bam Rodriguez? And as far as the WBA, I'm not sure what's going on with that. But this fight could potentially be for undisputed. Clarify if you know the specifics, but it easily could be for that. And then the kid we were talking about earlier today, Abdullah Mason, getting a shot to win Keyshawn Davis's WBO title by defeating undefeated Sam Noakes. It's the kind of fight where the Americans should win. Sam Noakes looks good to the UK crowd, right? But he's at this point a domestic UK fighter, right? If he goes out there and beats Mason, then he fucking puts a stamp of approval on his name and becomes a legitimate fucking Ricky Hatton type of UK fighter. But at this point, he's like many UK fighters that once they step up and face world level fighters get exposed. So I would not be surprised to see Sam Noakes get stopped by Abdullah Mason. Then Brian Norman Jr., Devin Haney. Like for Devin Haney, this is exactly what you would want him to do. He's taking on a world champion, probably the best champion at the weight class now that Boots Ennis has moved out of the weight class. But in saying that, Brian Norman is still very untested, 24 years old. I mean, I think he's younger than Devin Haney. He's had, 2 title defenses, and none of them have been against legitimate opposition, right? One was against a Cardenas Mexican kid nobody heard of, and one was against a Japanese kid that most Americans don't know who he was. His best win was when he beat Santillan to win the title. But even Santillan is not really a top 10 welterweight if you look at the current standings, and the welterweight division is not really that impressive, but he's still not even top 10. So Brian Norman is there to be beat, right? For Devin Haney, he could become a 3-weight world champion. It would catapult him right back into the pound-for-pound list. I don't think he goes above Bam Rodriguez if he beats Brian Norman. But I know a guy like John Boxing, he will use this as an opportunity to put Devin Haney pound-for-pound number 1. You just wait and see. I guarantee that if Canelo Alvarez beats Bud Crawford and Brian Norman gets beat by Devin Haney, John Boxing is going to have Devin Haney pound for pound number 1 above Usyk, Inoue, Bam Rodriguez, Canelo Alvarez, Bivol, right? You can't make this shit up because you know that's exactly what's going to happen. Tell me I'm fucking wrong. You know it. I know it. And then, of course, you got Subriel Matias defending his WBC title versus Dalton Smith. Similar to Moses Atoma, right? Or not Moses, what's his face, who I just mentioned, Abdullah Mason. UK fighter, Dalton Smith. People hype him up, but at this point, he's really just a domestic UK fighter until he proves that he's more. And at this point, seeing is believing. We know Subriel Matias can get beat. He got beat by an Australian fighter. So the question is he going to be able to get beat by an English fighter? We have to wait and see. But overall, what a fucking great card this is, right? Great card. I'm super impressed. Where are we? You guys jump so quick. Crawford's loaded gloves. He's going to lose. Bro, Haney's literally the most cherry-picked fighter in boxing. He sucks. Great card by Turkey. Sean, will you be talking about the heavily anticipated Boots versus Lima fight? Not on this card because I don't even know who else is on that Boots card. But down the road, I got no problem with that fight. I know some people are in their feelings, but, people always looking for reasons to hate. Haney's been a champion for 5 or 6 years and only fought 2 mandatories. The kid is terrible. I can see Bud boxing a masterclass and winning or getting stopped brutally by Canelo. No draw or split decision. Bud getting stopped. Canelo too much. I agree. Yard has like a 95% KO ratio. Bam Rodriguez is the real deal. It doesn't matter. Haney is that bad. It doesn't matter what Benavidez does. He is PBC. And see, listen to this guy. Because I pick potentially a fighter to stop David Benavidez inside 8 rounds, but get stopped by David Benavidez after 8 rounds, which is a very good pick as far as if you want to gamble. Somehow I'm hating on a PBC David Benavidez, right? Like dudes like this are fucking mental cases. Tim, every time you open your mouth, you just look fucking stupid. I'm giving a boxing breakdown. You're dick riding a fighter like he's your fucking girlfriend. You're doing what Shaquille O'Neal is doing to fucking Angel Reese. It's fucking cringe, dude. I hope you don't have a wife because, man, if she sees you fucking chasing another man, that might be the end of your relationship. Then again, you probably have a boyfriend. So, I'm sure that's okay then. We know the gays like fucking big parties. Ring which you drool over since Turkey brought them has Benavidez 10th on the pound for pound list. Yeah, which I said is ridiculous. How can Benavidez be pound for pound top 10 when he hasn't even beaten a world champion in fucking years? In years. When was the last world champion he beat to win a title? 6 years ago? Get off my lawn, Benavidez. Haney's career is over after this. He's going to get stopped. Beating Brian Norman up in weight is way more impressive than beating Crawford, who is coming up. See, look, of course. Here you go. Fucking guys acting like somehow Devin Haney is better than Bud Crawford. You can't make this shit up. I was joking, Sean. I don't even know who Lima is. They hyping up Bud as Superman. When Canelo stops him, he gets all the credit. Junior Duckweight Division. Mirage Burner. Yeah, exactly. PBC fighters always get put on the pound for pound list for doing the minimum. Well, I mean, think about David Benavidez. He got a WBC title and never had to beat anyone to get it. Another fucking email champion. That shit's pathetic. Pathetic. But at least he's fighting Anthony Yard, and I give him full credit for that. Literally, I gave the dude full credit for taking on Anthony Yard, and somehow I'm hating on him. Like, when you praise a guy for doing what he should do and appreciating the level of fucking move he's making, like Haney going on and taking fucking Norman, people act like somehow you're hating on the fighter. How can I praise Benavidez for facing Anthony Yard and praise Haney for fighting Norman, but somehow I'm hating on them? Crawford loaded gloves is hating on Haney, but not me. Benavidez tank Spence. Well, we know PBC fighters from PBC fanboys can do no wrong because these guys somehow feel that Al Haymon is great for the Black American, the FBA, the Foundational Black American. Yet most of Al Haymon's PBC cards are full of Mexicans and very few Black Americans because Al Haymon's learned to sell and be successful, you got to push the fucking Mexican American fighters. He learned what Top Rank and fucking Golden Boy have learned a long time ago. Where are we? I hope Norman versus Haney will be as much exciting and entertainment fight as Haney versus Garcia. Canelo will not stop Crawford. Canelo doesn't have that in his tank right now. Golovkin was pound for pound number one for beating only one champion in Lemieux. But Benavidez will multiple champions. Can't even crack the top 10 spot. Shake my head. See, no, once again, you are speaking John boxing narratives. Golovkin became pound for pound number one because you didn't have a Bud Crawford, a Inouye, or a Usyk, or a Bivol in the top four. There was nobody that was dominating the pound for pound at that point. And he just had a draw, a controversial draw versus Canelo Alvarez. And that's when he became pound for pound number one. And people hated on it like crazy, cried like bitches. I'm not hating. I'm just not dumb. Haney sucks. Haney is going to be on his bike like he was versus Ramirez, and Norman is going to catch him. Let's hope he doesn't fight like that, because in winning, he's going to be losing if he fucking chooses to run like a fucking rabbit in the ring versus Norman, because Norman can be outboxed. Norman hasn't fought a slick boxer. He's never beaten any top-level fighter. So we don't know how good he is at cutting off the ring, what kind of feet he has. So, as far as we know, this potentially could be an easy matchup for Devin Haney. We do know that Norman's left hand is good, but if you never can get in range to fucking land that punch or throw it, We will see. You had a prime Rodrigo who dominated prime Donaire. So you think Rigo should have been pound for pound number one based on beating Donaire? Oh, okay. Okay. We all know he is. Haney is scared to get hit. He definitely looks scared to get hit. That's true. He's not willing to stand there and control the ring. He's shook. His career is over. That's potentially true, right? Like, obviously, based on his last performance, he didn't convince anybody of the opposite. You know, he only reinforced the fact that it looked like he definitely had some PTSD after the Ryan Garcia fight. But we will see this fight. This fight is the one that's there to tell us the truth. If he goes in there and puts on a masterclass performance, beating Norman, people are going to have to be fair and say that Norman was kind of untested, but it's still a great win. And I said it puts Devin Haney right back into the pound for pound list. Now he becomes a world champion. His career is over. People just like the drag fighters out when they already know it's over. Well, to be fair, the kid's only like 26, 27 years old. So one bad performance does not ruin a career. But through history, we have seen that when fighters were kind of exposed mentally, they sort of cracked. So that could happen, but we'll have to wait and see. I'm not sold on Haney. I'm not sold on Haney. I'm not sold on Benavidez. I'm not sold on Benavidez. I let them do in the ring the convincing. If they do what they need to do, they can convince me. If they don't, then it just reinforces my feelings. He got dropped 5 times. Yes, he did, and hurt another few times. First time he fought someone in their prime. And somebody that was the same size as him. Lomachenko was fucking weight bullied by Devin Haney. It's amazing, though, that people use that narrative to talk about Tank Davis, Ryan Garcia, but they don't say that about Loma and Devin Haney. Right? Some guys love to throw out the whole weight bully narrative when we talk about Mexican fighters or Mexican American fighters. But whenever you accuse a a foundational Black American fighter of being a weight bully, then it's racist. No, being a weight bully is being a weight bully. For me, if you can make the weight, you can make the weight. It is what it is. But obviously, we can see a clear difference if a guy is gigantic compared to his opponent. Benavidez is legit. I don't know how good he'll be at 168, but he ended up being the best when they were asked who the best fighter under 25 a few years ago is. But based on what? How is he the best fighter under 25 when he hadn't beaten fucking anyone? Not until Canelo beat Caleb Plant did David Benavidez finally step up and take on a legitimate opponent, Caleb Plant, right? And then, of course, Dudu Andrade. But like when he could have fought Plant for unification, he ducked him. Could have fought Smith for unification. He ducked him. Could have fought fucking Zerto for unification. He ducked him. Went to 175, ducked a chance to fight the winner of Bivol Beterbiev to get a fucking email title. Like, you know, that's why when he's stepping up right now to fight Anthony Yard, I have to give him praise because it's the first time in his career outside of Morrell, which I give him credit for as well, when he actually did what people think he should have done. He should have fought Morrell at 168, and he should have fought fucking Yard, and he is. So congratulations. He's doing something finally at 26, 27 years of age. It was Benavidez, Boots, Devin, and someone else. Benavidez was ahead of them all. Benavidez was a weight bully at 168. That's why Canelo ducked him. He was always a weight bully, right? This is a guy that literally lost his title because he didn't make weight at the weight class. But then instead of moving up to fight Beterbiev in a guaranteed WBC fight, he still stayed at 168. Jason Dayton is back in the house. Oh my God. Listen to this guy. Boxing has become a race hustling sport. That is why whites are giving up on boxing. I know friends I used to talk to boxing about now don't watch it because of the blatant racism towards whites. But that's not just boxing. It's literally fucking America. every aspect of America, Hollywood, NBA, fucking everything. Like, if you're white, you're a racist in America, right? You look at some of those black people you see on social media when they talk about white people, and they just have the most terrible fucking things to say about whites as a whole. But yeah, the shit's crazy. I'm talking about 4 or 5 years ago, no current time. Boxing has always been marketed as demographic and ethnicity. Yeah, no. Some fights were marketed that way as a marketing tool. But now, because of social media and fucking racist fans, this shit's amped up like fucking crazy. Right? Fans always watch NBA teams and fucking, football teams and UK soccer teams, football, and teams with mixed heritage players, and rooted for them and had no issue with the whole race uh, breakdown to teams. If your team was winning, that's all you cared about. And as far as nationalism, people always were nationalistic. Back in the day, more so for America. Now, less. I mean, fucking, trying to get Americans to support Americans now fucking seems like it's almost impossible. People can't even fucking be proud of their flag. No, it's always been marketed that way, only in America mostly. Yeah, but those are all black guys from America. Boxing is international. Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. Most of this racism stems from black Americans, right? They think everybody's against them and everything is racist. And consistently, that's the number one thing they project and perpetuate in everything they do. Everything. It's all basically on demographics and ethnicity. And you got to blame the media, because the media is stirring that pot to keep America fucking like this. They don't want blacks and whites and Mexicans and Asians to fucking come together and unite against the fucking governments, right? So they keep everything fucking in turmoil because it's perfect. Fear. Governments love to perpetuate fear. Oh my God, global warming. The world is melting. Fuck me. People are stupid motherfuckers, man. Literally every decade they got a new fucking thing to worry about. When I grew up, it was all fucking Russia was going to nuke fucking America. It's always something. You can be the best boxer to ever lace up gloves. If you're not black from America, you're not getting the credit here. That's fucking 100% true, even in basketball. Just wait until the NBA season starts and wait till fucking the negativity that starts fucking surrounding Cooper Flag, right? If the media is hyped and he plays great, it's going to be only because he's white. He's just a normal black guy. Nobody would talk about him. But because he's white, he's getting all this attention. 60% of America is white. If you can fucking galvanize 60% of the country, you're going to become a fucking star. Should you chase after that 13%? That's the way to go. Why do you think the number one rapper ever is fucking Eminem? Literally, there was just a social media post that was based on votes, and Eminem was the number one rapper of all time. Because literally, 60% of America is white. And the number one rapper that they like, primarily, not only, obviously, white rap fans like all kinds of rappers, but you can understand casual people, Eminem. So, of course, with that huge percentage, he's going to win a fucking vote and become the number one rapper in history. I never liked Eminem. His rap style and his stories didn't interest me. America is becoming a dangerous place for certain races. Black fatigue is real. I feel it on YouTube. Black fatigue is real. U.S. is the leading force of race hustling. Facts. But those fighters get it in their country. In general, it's definitely true, but I know black Americans who don't like Floyd. Yeah, there's always going to be normal people in every sort of demographic, right? I mean, nobody's painting with a generalized brush. You look at boxing. What's his face? New York kid. What's his name? Boxing. That That kid is down the middle, man. He's totally not a race hustler, not always pushing just black athletes. He's just a real boxing fan who, like me and many of you, grew up watching boxing because his dad was a fan. It's global warming now. In the 80s, it was global cooling. It's all a scam. All a scam. I wouldn't take any of it personal. People just root for their side. Well, that's the thing. I don't take it personal, but the problem is if you're white, you can't root for your side because that's racist. That's my only issue. If it's okay for everyone else to root for their side, why can't I root for my side? I can't even root for fucking Asia. And then I'm still a racist. It was here from those so-called slick black boxers. Like I tell everyone, Loma for his generation was a slick boxer, not a jab and grab or jab and run. Even kids like Eminem and around the world, Usyk is the great heavy slick boxer. He is. That's why I've never been a big fan. I prefer AJ. But you gotta fucking give credit where credit is due, right? That's what it comes down to. Just give credit where credit's due. That's all. But this was something I saw on a post today in social media, which was Stephen Lee Kimothy, those guys are a different one. But anyways, they asked the question, do you think Bud Crawford will become a top 15 all-time great if he beats Canelo Alvarez? I don't know if he'll become top 15, even though I know that when you look at a lot of these lists, they're very, modern centric. They mostly focus on a lot of modern fighters. I always think Floyd Mayweather and Pacquiao and Andre Ward and B-Hop are kind of ranked too high, right? In truth, I think Roy Jones should be ranked higher, but because of the way his career ended, that goes against him. But let's be honest, right? Roy Jones, what he did when he fucking moved up to heavyweight, if you just count that as his career, nobody was better than him. But Canelo was stopping Bud. It doesn't mean anything. People don't care who you root for. They're just going to talk shit. Well, Crawford, loaded gloves, that's probably the truest fucking thing you've said. There's just a lot of haters out there that don't care. They're just always going to fucking talk shit on social media. I still prefer Mike Tyson over all the heavyweights of today. When Tyson was in his 20s, he was a vicious killer. Yeah, but like all those vicious killers, the first time he lost mentally, he broke. Fragile, like Foreman, like Liston. Sure thing, UK fighters like Lennox Lewis and Fury are really fed with Usyk. They want him to lose. He was supposed to lose to Dubois. Lennox predicted it. Then Fury predicts that Itoma KOs Usyk nonstop. Well, they're just hoping a UK fighter can beat him, right? Right? I understand. When Usyk, it becomes the UK fucking destroyer, it must be tough for these fighters to deal with. Think about all the fighters he's beaten. All UK. Chisora, AJ, Fury, Dubois. You should throw in the Super 6, or not Super 6, but the WBS, who did he beat? He beat fucking the Juggernaut, right? Beat him. So he beat him already in a 6-round fight, right? Not an amateur fight, but like a professional fight, the World Boxing Series. So every English fighter he's faced, he beat. True, all UK heavyweights, UK fighters. Usyk moved up and fought boxers 30 to 60 pounds heavier and gave up height and reach. What Crawford is doing is not great. He is just as tall and has the reach advantage. That's what I'm saying. I'm not trying to downplay Crawford. What he's doing is great, but he's not giving up advantages like Usyk has given up. Crawford is going to have a 4-inch reach advantage over Canelo Alvarez. With your foot speed and your 4-inch reach advantage and your hand speed and precision punching and power that you have, you should be able to fucking keep Canelo Alvarez fucking busy, man, and second guessing what he's doing, because Crawford's going to hit him with punches that he feels. Maybe he's not going to get knocked out, but he's not hitting them with fucking baby punches. They're going to be fast, legitimate shots, right? And you put your hands together, you get in, you get out. He could cause all kinds of problems for Canelo Alvarez. all kinds of problems. Usyk is today's road warrior. Not only did he beat them all, he beat them all in their backyard. Exactly. Oh, I also forgot Bellew. 6. Bellew as well. Facts, Jax. Crawford's a weight bully. Well, that's not true. If Bud won, I'd make him top 10 ever and the greatest fighter of the last 40 years, arguably. Look at you, JD. The greatest fighter of the last 40 years. So over fucking Floyd. Always has been. None of that matters. Canelo isn't Jeff Horn. Nah, Canelo's walking through him. Well, could be, right? Like, when you fight a legitimate 168-pound fighter who can absorb your shots, can hit you with heavy body shots, and, Crawford is a strong dude, but he's still a slender fellow, right? Those body shots, big arm shots that he fucking broke Smith and Bivol down with, right? Those things, man, they could really start to wear and tear and break Crawford down. That's why I think it's a great matchup. Why I don't understand why people try to downplay it. I understand Crawford fans downplaying Canelo because they are afraid to have to give Canelo credit, right? The last thing they want to do is say that, whoa, Canelo beat Crawford. What a great win, right? They don't want to fucking say that. But they'd love to say, oh, Crawford beat Canelo. Fucking Canelo's a hype job. So then the win for Crawford is garbage then? Like, if you're going to shit on Canelo as a fighter, then you're dismissing and downplaying the significance of the win for Crawford. I don't understand how people do that, but they do, and they will. Anytime Crawford gets hit with a punch, his head snaps back half a foot. I agree with you, Sean, on Usyk is not my type of boxer, but what he has done is awesome. I actually like watching Tank fight over Usyk. Me too. Though Usyk accomplishments is out of this world. Yeah, stylistically, I prefer Tank Davis over fucking Canelo and Usyk. Bivol. I prefer Beterbiev. I prefer Inouye. I prefer Bam, Lomachenko, right? But yeah, everyone has their likes. The problem is it becomes an issue when you're not liking who some people want you to like. Like, I can't like Golovkin. And people can talk like Deontay Wilder is great Hall of Famer, one of the best heavyweights ever, but I can't like Golovkin because Golovkin's a hype job. But then Wilder's legitimate? Okay. Like, there's nothing Wilder did in his career on any level that was better than Golovkin. Nothing. But people love to use Golovkin to try to shit on non-black fighters and hype up black fighters. They use Floyd Mayweather to hype up black fighters, and then they use Golovkin to shit on non-black fighters, as if Golovkin represents every non-black fighter and Floyd represents every black fighter. Everyone's different. Everyone's unique. Everyone's an individual. None of it's real. We saw Bud was versus Madrimov. He won the fight. Canelo dropped the last 7 of his last 10 opponents. I'm not a Crawford fan, by the way. I'm a non-biased. All you guys Crawford stopped were fresh out of the ER. I'm not much excited for Tank fights because he usually knocks out a bum and already know the outcome. That's true, but he's still must-watch boxing because of his speed and power. It's just obviously we prefer if he'd step up and take on legitimate opponents to prove himself, right? That's all people want from every fighter. Tank Davis is no different than fucking Inouye, Lomachenko, fucking everyone. We want great fighters to step up and face great fighters so we can see how fucking great they are. It's like earlier today, people want Moses Atoma to fight Usyk. They either want him to fight Usyk because they want to see how great he is, or because they're just haters and they want to see him get beat, right? Those would be the 2 reasons why you want a guy to jump up so much right off the bat. But at the end of the day, that's what you want. You want the best fighters to face the best fighters to see who really is great. Canelo is not fresh anymore. That's true. He fought one fresh guy, Madrimov, and magically got no more stoppages. Berlanga only had 68 pro rounds when he fought Canelo. Come on. How can you say that Crawford is all that because he's fighting Canelo? Manny started at 108 and fought all the way to 147. Well, actually 154, but a catchweight, right? And now that's accomplishment that will never be seen again. That's true. Probably we'll never see somebody do that again. Madrimov had 9 or 10 fights versus Bud. Virgil walked down Madrimov. Yeah, but see, Crawford's loaded gloves. It's a stupid narrative to be one of those fans that looks at one opponent and how a fight went and compare another opponent and how that fight went. Virgil Ortiz and Bud Crawford are very different fighters. Madrimov stated that Bud Crawford is a much harder puncher than Virgil Ortiz, which is probably why Madrimov stayed on the outside the whole fight, never fucking committed to punches, and literally had Bud Crawford waiting for the majority of the fight because Madrimov was fucking dancing like crazy, never committing to punches, which is why he lost. You can't win a fight if you don't fucking land a punch, right? That's why Bud won, because he did land punches. Not many, because Madrimov was afraid to engage. But against Virgil, who's flat-footed, didn't hit it hard, was not nearly as complex or dangerous, Madrimov didn't feel uncomfortable being aggressive versus him. And because of that, he ended up getting beat worse because he wasn't afraid to fucking engage because he felt that he could have success. He didn't feel he could have success versus Crawford. He was too afraid to commit, and why the fight turned out to be boring. So I wouldn't use that narrative to try to hate on Crawford. Will Crawford be top 15 all time if he beats Canelo? Hell no. Styles make fights, but fans are imagining that he is something they haven't seen him from before. In reality, Canelo is going to hurt him. All he needed 51 rounds to bat Frazier and Norton, being the one to go down once. Foreman only needed 4 little rounds to send them 9 times to the canvas. And you know what? Ali beat Foreman in 8 Styles. Exactly. And there's tons of fucking things that are perfect examples of that. Fucking Hagler, Hearns, Leonard, Duran. Look at their fucking 4 fighters and the way those 4 fights turned out. You could not make that shit up. I bet your house in Canelo KO and become a millionaire. It's not really. I don't think if you bet on Canelo, you're going to become a millionaire, though. No, it's because Madrimov has no high guard. Madrimov only punched on the front foot is the overhand. Madrimov wasn't aggressive. Yeah, because he was afraid to fucking commit. He got walked down. No, they were fighting all the mid-range. Madrimov isn't a pressure fighter like Virgil. Madrimov could have moved a lot more versus Virgil, like he did in the first couple rounds when he had success. But then he chose not to do that and allowed Virgil into the fight. Don't forget the fight, right? Maybe you need to go back and watch it again just to refresh your memory. But once again, you can't use that kind of fucking triangle theory to shit on Crawford. It just doesn't fucking work. It's a fucking... History has shown you it's just a stupid fucking take to try to use those kind of narratives to hate on someone. Madrimov is a point fighter with an overhand right. Okay. And a guy that relied on his foot movement versus Crawford, but not versus Virgil. He's athletic, he can bounce around and whatnot, but his fundamentals aren't what you think they are. Well, I didn't say he was fundamentally the best fighter. The question was, his fundamentals were what he used against Crawford to stay out of range. But then he also didn't throw any punches and didn't commit to shots, which is why he lost the fight. Like, comparing... So I guess you think that Virgil Ortiz would beat Bud Crawford. Like, based on your breakdown and your narrative, that's how you sort of set it up. Yet we know that Virgil Ortiz on multiple occasions blatantly ducked Bud Crawford. Ducked him like fucking crazy. Could have fought for a world title. But chose to fucking go after a fucking regular title. Kind of like fucking Jesus Ramos is doing right now. And once again, it's a bad look then and it's a bad look now. I like Canelo, but Canelo is not that great. He did fight great fighters. I give him that. Lost to Floyd, lost to Triple G, lost to Bivol, and yes, he had handpicked his opponents. I didn't say. I said he beats Madrimov more convincingly. Yeah, which amounts to nothing. So then you don't think he's better than Bud Crawford. But yet we know Crawford and Virgil don't fight anything the same. Virgil doesn't also fight like fucking Canelo Alvarez. And neither does Madrimov. So what does that have to do with Bud Crawford? Right? Like Canelo Alvarez is a counterpuncher with slow feet and low volume. Right? He's there to be beat. His style is there to be beat. If he can't fucking counterpunch you with hard punches, catch you clean and stop you, or break you down, he's going to lose a fight. That's why he lost to Golovkin the first fight. That's why I lost to Floyd. That's why I lost to Bivol. Right? And if he's not able to fucking counterpunch Canelo Alvarez, Bud Crawford, he's going to lose that fight too. See, that's crazy. People downplay Canelo for no reason. Nobody's downplaying. That's Canelo's style. He's a fucking counterpuncher. He lost to Floyd because he tried to fight Floyd's style against Floyd, which was a stupid fucking direction to go. He should have fought more like Julio Cesar Chavez in that fight. And then he probably would have been successful or far more successful. But he's not a guy that adjusts in a ring. He comes in with a game plan. He sticks to that game plan. It either works or it doesn't. He does not switch up and change in a fight. He switched between fights. Example, Golovkin 1, Golovkin 2. But he can't switch in a fight, right? He's not that great of a fighter that he's able to adjust like a Leonard or a fucking a Bud Crawford or a fucking Muhammad Ali. Guys that could literally make adjustments in a fight. Crawford's claim to fame was beating Spence, but Spence car wreck here. Everyone based elite boxers off that. Now make sense of that. Back in the day, you earned your glory most of the time. Well, we can't hate on Crawford because Spence fucking did something stupid, right? Like, I mean, he gave Spence opportunities to bounce back before jumping to fight him. He let him have 2 bounce back fights versus good opponents. He looked good. People were praising Spence like crazy after those 2 fights. He didn't lose to Golovkin the first fight. He did. It was a draw, but we know that's a loss. Just like fucking Chavez Sr. fucking lost to Pernell Whitaker. Floyd drained him at a catch weight. Great point. Canelo doesn't make in-game adjustments. Not that great is exaggerating. Every fighter would have even more losses if they would risk so much. It's bullshit. Most of those guys are the weight bullies when they fight. Canelo is always the smaller guy beating the bigger guys. No, only since he moved to 168. Down at lower weights, he was the weight bully, pulling guys up in weight. No such thing as a weight bully. You can make the weight, you make the weight. If you can't make the weight, you move up. Just ask Virgil. No, even at 160. At 160, who did he fight that was bigger than him? Golovkin wasn't bigger than him. Like, I understand that you're a Canelo fan, and that's fine. I'm not a Canelo hater. Jacobs? Well, to be fair, Jacobs wasn't that big against Canelo. He was much bigger versus Golovkin when he failed to fucking make the next day fucking IBF weigh-in so he could weight bully fucking Golovkin and gave up the opportunity to win the IBF title. But outside of that, who else did he fight? I don't know. The reality of the situation is Canelo is shorter than some fighters, but that doesn't mean he's smaller than fighters. Jacobs did the same versus Canelo. No, he didn't. No, he didn't. That's not true. You can go check out the weights. I'm sure it's listed in BoxRec. But, regardless, It is what it is. The point is that this fight's obviously a huge fight. If it wasn't huge, you wouldn't have so many different opinions on the fight right now. So many people with strong opinions one way or the other. Obviously, it's a great matchup, and I'm excited. Jacobs missed the rehydration clause on purpose. Yes, versus Golovkin. Yeah. But, yeah, I'm going to get ready for bed. I got to tangle with 4-year-olds tomorrow. So they sold 48,000 tickets already. Nice. Spence was never that good. He was a hype job. Spence was a straightforward, look, unnecessary punches. Spence was easy to hit. He was a straightforward, wear you down type of fighter. I didn't disagree with you. I thought Sean Porter was winning the fight against Spence, had Spence's head like a football until Spence got that late knockdown, which basically gave him the victory over Porter. And I would never say Porter was a Hall of Famer because Porter is not a fucking Hall of Famer. Even though some PBC fanboys would love you to believe that Sean Porter is a Hall of Famer. Spence was good, but the car accident ruined him. Well, let's be fair. His fight with Porter was before the car crash. So if you look at his best wins, it was all against smaller fighters, right? 140-pound fighters moving up in weight, 135-pound fighters moving up in weight. What was the best 147-pound fighter that he beat at his weight? I know it's one of my favorite fights. Same with Crawford. What do you mean? Crawford came up from 135 to 140 to 147. So all the guys he fought at 147, for the most part, were 147 fighters. Cal Brook, Kavalaskis, who else? Sean Porter, Errol Spence, Jeff Horn, all fucking legitimate 147-pound fighters. None of those guys came up in weight. They were all at that weight. Crawford's the one that went up to their weight. Porter was 1 foot out the door. Oh my God. Come on, dude. Benavidez, I don't know what weight Benavidez was at. I think he was always 147. Brook was a 147-pound champion. What are you talking about? Khan is the only guy that came up in weight. So calm down with your hate. See, but that's the problem. Dudes like you literally hurt your fighters. Because when your fighters beat a guy like Crawford, you've already fucking delegitimized him. It's like guys shitting on Canelo Alvarez's resume and Canelo's career. And then if Crawford wins, you already acted like Canelo was a hype job and shit. So how great of a win is it now to beat him? Oh, good, you beat a fucking hype job that cherry-picked small weight fighters. Wow, great. How's that on your legacy? Right? That's the problem with dudes like you that just push fucking negativity and hate. Can you just be a little more down the middle, a little more neutral, and not so fucking radically a fanboy to certain fighters? Because it's blatant. What are you talking about? Crawford was literally telling Brook he had one eye before the fight. Oh my God. Please stop. Sean Brook had fucking fought Spence years before that. He didn't have any eye issues fucking between that fight. So stop. How can anyone brag about beating Khan? He had a glass jaw and was knocked out by almost everyone by the same time Spence fought him. I'm just telling the truth. No, you're not. There's context to everything. People like you fail to mention the context because you want to fucking downplay and override something. You always want to fucking hype it up one way or the other. If you want to lie or overcompensate for something you don't know, that's on you. Yeah, okay. So far, you've talked a load of bullshit that just proves you're fucking anti-Bud Crawford. So when Crawford beats Canelo Alvarez, what are you going to do then? You're going to fucking pull out, oh, he's on PEDs. His gloves were fucking stacked, right? You're going to pull out something. I know my shit. You know shit. That's what you know. Yeah, you say Canelo's going to stop him. But when Bud Crawford beats him, then what are you going to say? You're going to cry to your mom? all your fucking stupid narratives you pushed on everybody's YouTube channel just come back and bite you in the ass, and now you look like a fucking ridiculous punk, right? That's the problem with guys like you that say so much. You're literally crying about Bud's resume. I'm not crying about anything. You're literally going out of your way to try to downplay his resume. But yet this is the same thing Bud Crawford fans do to Canelo's resume, right? Canelo fanboys and like you, or Bud Crawford fanboys like John Boxing, you're both the fucking problem because you're both fucking ridiculous. And when your fighter gets beat, you're gonna fucking disappear from social media and fucking hide in your fucking bed with your face between two pillows crying like a bitch because somehow your stupid narrative was exposed and it's all over social media for everyone to mock and ridicule you because you can't just be a boxing fan. Bud doesn't have a Floyd. Bud doesn't have a Trout. Canelo lost to Bivol. He lost to Floyd. Some people think he lost to Trout, but come on, doesn't have a Trout. Fucking 140-pound champion that fucking Bud Crawford beat was better than fucking Austin Trout. Calm down. Doesn't have a Kovalev, a drunk fucking fighter that was fucking basically retired. Oh, every time you say something, it just makes you look more ridiculous. And look at how you just have to dominate the comment section. You're trying too hard. You're trying too hard, buddy. Like, really. Just because your fingers type fast just makes it seem like you're desperate. Desperate. I'm desperate. I'm desperate. Camacho Sr. had nothing when he beat Leonard, but he beat Leonard. What do you mean he had nothing? Camacho Sr. had nothing when he beat Leonard, but he beat Leonard. Well, Leonard was old, right? And had come out of retirement to fight Hector Macho Camacho, who obviously was the much younger fighter. Not much people hate on Leonard for losing to Camacho because they understood what it was. Bud fights washed up smaller fighters that can't punch. Canelo fights washed up smaller fighters that can't punch. Kovalevs were ready for the taking. Salute, Sean. Which fights are you looking forward to the most this upcoming month? Well, nothing really this month. We're mostly waiting for the big card in September with Canelo and Bud. And then obviously the Inouye fight card. And then the big one later on with Benavidez and Devin Haney. Those are the biggest 3 fight cards for the rest of the year. The ones I'm excited about. The guy Bud beat at 140 for a belt got KO'd by Regis 2 rounds. No, not him. Not fucking the African fighter. The guy that went on to give tough fights to Ramirez, gave tough fights to fucking Taylor, and lost to those 2 guys when he was well past his best, but still was very tough in both of those fights. It makes why you were crying about the race thing earlier. Okay. I was answering to Crawford loaded, Sean. What was the UFC is that they don't push the undefeated Mayweather propaganda, or he lost to someone, they just fight each other, win or lose. Crawford loaded gloves. Look, if you don't like boxing, then go to the NBA channel and rant. If you like boxing, then enough. What we are getting into days boxing. Bud's resume is terrible. Canelo's resume is terrible. Postal, yes. Sean, your guy Ekitike looked amazing for Liverpool the other day. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. Let's go Liverpool. Jay Perez, welcome in. Dude, I'm 57 years old. Sometimes names fucking escape me. I got 58 kids' names I need to remember at school every day. So, other names kind of get pushed out to make room for them. That's what I'm saying. Like, don't pretend like you know something when you really don't. Listen to this fucking guy. Dude, you're trying too hard. And everyone that's reading you just understands you're a Canelo fuckboy. That's all you are. Like, and I'm not a Canelo hater. So you really look even more stupid and ridiculous by all the bullshit you're fucking writing in this fucking post. because anyone that watches my channel would say that I hate Bud Crawford and I'm a Canelo fanboy. Crawford got rocked by Gamboa, but he's supposed to be Canelo. Well, come on, dude. Canelo got rocked by Cotto's brother, who fucking was never fucking elite. So we can both play that game. Sean, I bet the Taiwanese kids show the utmost respect to their teachers, unlike over in the West. Fuck no, spoiled brats. All my kids come from rich families. They're spoiled as fuck. No, you're just a Crawford Glazer. No, I'm not. You're obviously a Canelo Alvarez Glazer. I'm a down the middle boxing fan who can talk about the positives of Bud Crawford and the positives Canelo Alvarez. All you can do is dick ride Canelo and fucking hate on Bud Crawford, which really makes you the same as the LDBC and fucking PBC fanboy channels. You're fucking just the same thing as them. Let me guess, you're Mexican. Let me guess, you're fucking here before fucking under Mexican something else. Like, come on, dude. You try too hard just to make yourself look stupid. Canelo got rocked by Jose Cotto and was supposed to beat Golovkin. Same logic. Exactly. So you can't take the criticism. What criticism? What criticism? If Crawford beats Canelo, I don't know if he's top 15 all time, but he would be an all-time great for sure. Yeah, I mean, the reality, Jay Perez is a boxing fan, not a fanboy, right? That's why he doesn't need to use Crawford's name in a fucking statement showing that he's a fanboy. Crawford and Canelo are both future Hall of Famers. They're both going to become Hall of Fame fighters, all-time greats. So that's why your whole shtick doesn't make sense. Because literally, a Crawford victory for Canelo could be one of the best wins on his resume. But people like you downplay it, ruin it, shit all over it. It's the same as Floyd Mayweather fans that spent years and years shitting on fucking Manny Pacquiao, only to then act like Floyd was great because he beat Manny Pacquiao. But no. You said Pacquiao was garbage. So how much credit do you want? We can't give you credit for fucking Pacquiao because he's garbage, right? He's one-dimensional. He doesn't have any skills. He's no good. He's got no chin. So how much credit do you really want? Right? You're going to get what you ask for. 0. Porter was solid, definitely not washed up. I've been here for years, and Sean is not racist at all. Dude, man. You got a whole list of you crying like a bitch, hating on Bud Crawford, all to dick ride Canelo. Like, everybody sees all your fucking glazing. I don't think I glaze for Bud Crawford at all in this whole fucking 2 hours and 12 minutes that we've been on. Actually, I've said great thing about Canelo, and I've said great things about Bud Crawford. We know who fucking is glazing, and that's you. You better wipe that Canelo off your lips, buddy, because you might get kicked out of your mother's basement acting like that. But, we can't fucking have dumb ass fucking dudes that just need to say fucking something to be said just so they could be heard. So peace out, everyone. Thanks for jumping in. Unless, of course, you're a Canelo Glazer, because I'm a Canelo fan, but oh my God, I can't stand fucking dick riders, regardless of color or ethnicity or who they're dick riding. It's just pathetic and sad. Like some people that are on this fucking chat. Pathetic and sad. Small man syndrome. It's a sad situation. If you got to be fucking such an outspoken Mexican, obviously you got to try harder. Try harder. Thanks everyone for jumping in. I'll see you next time. Peace out. Have a good weekend. Obviously, we don't have any big fights this weekend, but the one card we talked about that's on DAZN is not too bad. So it might be worth watching. So maybe we'll see you there. Peace out. Have a good one. Cheers. And remember, my part 2 to my Canelo Bud Crawford breakdown for their upcoming fight is coming out later today. The Canelo one is already out there, so Canelo Glazers should definitely go check it out. They should definitely watch it because it's right down their fucking avenue. Peace out, everyone. Just against Mexicans.